So now that is done, we'll open the folder with VS Code. We'll just type code, web. You should launch a new window. We'll just try and compile the default web page. We'll just type Quasar dev. And here's the default layout. I think this is a really nice feature. We'll just go to their page and tools. They have a layout builder. And you can just choose the one that you want. I do believe Vue3 has this feature as well. I don't really need a right drawer or navigation tabs. And we'll just continue. And you can play around with this as well. We'll have the footer reveal. You can see that. Export layout. So now all we have to do is just copy this code and go back to here, go to our main layout. Okay. We just select all and paste. Then now let's try compile it again. We don't really need to. I believe it's hot update. We just click it. See? That is your new default layout. Now we'll talk about what we need to do to look like the page that I showed you earlier. With Vue, you will need template to start your code. It's just like the main function in C. Okay. If you go down here, this is called optional API. We can tell by the single script and this export default. I do believe I want to change this, so we'll be using single file setup optional API for our project. Okay, so all we have to do is just delete, go to the top, and then we'll just type script setup. Okay, we'll import some let's say libraries. Rev onMounted from Vue. onMounted is kind of like the life cycle of an application. So if you have done iOS development, it's kind of imagining it like Vue disappeared, will appear, did appear. If you have done C++ with Qt, you can see it as about to quit signal. Okay, and we will need that for later. Now we deleted some of the functions that it came with. We'll need them back. But first, we'll just add let left drawer open equals to ref true, default to be true. If you're curious, let is a constant? No. In Swift, yes, let isn't constant, but here is not. We also need let if found to be default to be false. Okay, we need that for later when we are trying to fetch the data from our ESP32. What else we need? We need a chip info. Ref, we need this to be an array. It will contain version, then also course. Okay. Now we will also need something within our menu list in the drawer. So what we can do is constant this time. Menu list equals also an array. I don't like that. Let's do it that way. Icon, home, label, main page, separator, true, and then 2. So 2 is kind of like, okay, if you click on this, where should I go? It's kind of like redirect the page to another page. And we'll set the default to be our home page. Another one, icon, let's do camera. Label, let's do camera page. separator, true. This is purely personal reference, okay? Let's do slash camera. Now there's that. We'll also need a function to keep track of, okay, if the drawer is open or is it closed, right? So let's do function, let's do toggle left drawer. All we have to do is just flip the bit. The value. Okay. Now we will talk about how we can change. Now we actually will change about these title, the name. We can get rid of this icon as well. So now we're down here. I do want to remove these lines. You will see in the background, it will trigger an update once you save it. So let's remove them. You can see it's gone. I do want to add a bold text. Let's do strong and home. Okay. Now we do need to add something within our drawer. In here, we should add show if above. So basically what this does is it will trigger, force the drawer to be shown when on the initial render. Within here, we'll add some items. We'll add queue list, template, because we'll loop through the menu list that we created earlier. Okay. Let's name it menu item and index. In menu list that we created. Then we'll also add key index. Then now we'll close that. Within here, we'll add a queue item. We need to make it clickable. Okay. Then two, basically what it does is once we click it, it will redirect us to another page. Menu item .2. Now we also have active checking the type of this root. Path equals and item .2. So it's not double equals. Double equals is checking if the value is the same. This we are checking if the type is the same. Then we can add like a V ripple to make it look a little bit nicer. We'll close that. Now within the section, we can add a queue item section. Let's give it avatar. And then queue icon. Sorry. Let's give it name, menu item, the icon. And now we can actually close that as well. Now within here, let's update it. In the background, you can see, okay, we have two icons. So what about the labels? Within here, we'll add another queue item section. Okay, just simply add menu item.label. You'll see in the background the name shows up. And that's what we want. Normally I'll add a separator just to make things look nice and clean. Okay. You can see in the background it actually shows up. And now we will change and modify the footers. It's basically the same concept. We will remove the icons first and add some of the context that we want to show later on when we grab the data from ESP32. Okay, so now we'll locate the queue footer. It's right here. We can change the colors. So normally the color that I like to use is red, and then you can see the background looks pretty nice. And then queue bar title, toolbar title, we can just remove this because that's basically the image. And then we'll just have title left. Okay. Now let's add something here. Let's do display text. Then style. Let's do font weight. And let's do bold. Now, okay. Now let's do v if not found. Okay. Then we'll set this, let's close that, to checking chip info. Now let's do another one. Style. Font weight. Let's do bold as well. And then let's say else. Let's say ESP32 version. This will be chip info version. Okay. Now let's add another section. Course. Chip info. Core. Okay. Well, right now it's not going to show up because we do not have the info yet. And later I'll show you. So now let's go up here. We'll add another function. Constant fetch data. Async. Now we'll try to grab the data from ESP32. Okay. Let's do constant response. Await. And let's grab it from get result. JSON. This line of code is from one of the examples on their GitHub. So if you want to go find this RESTful API, and I believe that's the example. Then since we get the data, then we'll set the value for our chip info version equals version, same as this one, course. Okay, since we have these information now, we need to find change if found to be true. Let's print out the error just in case if there's any. Okay. Now remember this unmounted lifecycle? Here's the moment that we need to add in here. Let's just call fetch data. So when this component is loaded, it will automatically call this function for us and grab the data from ESP32 and update all these information for us. Okay? Okay, so let's go pages now. We'll create a new file, name it camera page, Vue. We'll set it up. We'll leave it empty for now. I'll just say hi. Now let's go to router. Remember earlier we used /camera. Here is what we can tell it where to grab the new page. There's a path, camera, component, import camera page .vue. So now how do we test it, right? So let's just go here in our drawer, we click camera page. It should redirect us to /camera. Okay. The reason why we left the camera page blank right now is that is the section that will take majority of the time to implement. Okay. Stores is where we keep the state management utilities. Okay. So first, let's look at it. Example store, we'll just copy it first. We'll create a new file. Name it weather. Paste. Within here, we also need Axios. Okay. Now, we will change this to use weather store Define store name same as our file name. State. State is kind of like a setter. We'll store the information in state. So here let's just use weather info. Let's keep it blank for now. Getters. Let's remove this one. Let's say get weather info state, return weather state weather info. Okay. Now actions. Actions is where we need to grab the information from OpenWeather. Okay. Now let's remove this async. Let's call it capture user weather. Let's pass in zip code. Zip code is what we use to grab the weather based on their location. Zip code. Now let's use constant response equals to await axios.get. And here is the URL. We have to grab it from OpenWeather API. Let me go find it. Here is the one that listed on their website, and we can also, right here is your API key. Okay. Now that is done, we need to set this weather info equals to response.data. Now let's return. We can also return this. So wherever is calling this capture user weather, we'll return the response.data. We'll create another store that is location store, and we'll talk about that later.